Many roofing companies are using drones, but very few are using them in the way that they should be. In this video, I'm going to go over some of the advanced applications that you can use in roofing today. Well, as long as you have the right drone and actually know how to use it. Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to go over is actually showing you what a high quality drone with a very large sensor can actually do to provide you with extremely high detail of that roof's condition. So this is a roof. This happened in September in Oklahoma City after a major hailstorm. And as you can tell, there is some damage up there. But go to your photos and try to do this. Can you zoom in and actually count the individual granules on the shingle? Can you clearly identify all of the individual hail strikes? Probably not. And why is this? Because our drones actually have a very large camera on it, and we fly this about 3 feet from the roof surface. So because of that, you can see all the individual granules from this roof. Now, the next thing, once you actually do have it, the next thing that you can do is you can go in here and you can generate a Roof Hawk storm damage assessment report using artificial intelligence. And it will go through and automatically detect all of the individual hail strikes on that roof. And it's really phenomenal of how it works. And it just goes through and it marks it automatically for you. And even if you don't entirely agree with the results, the great thing about this is that homeowners absolutely love this. And it is a phenomenal sales tool and something that can absolutely hold insurance companies accountable. So now, if you're not using the right drone, you're not going to get the right results. And this is to show you the difference of what you're going to get. This is the Mini 4 Pro, the one that is most commonly used by roofers. Why? You can get one on Amazon for about $400 to $500. However, this is the one that we do. This is taken from a very similar distance away from the shingle. And yes, I get it. It's not the exact same roof, but it is the same distance from the shingle. And you can see you have a lot of fuzziness here compared to extremely crisp data. Why is that? The larger the camera, the more light it can take in quicker, which means the camera is open a less amount of time, which means you're able to get a lot more clarity. Just like when an open shutter and you have long exposure over a longer period of time, you're going to get streaks across the sky. The exact same thing happens, but in reverse. If you have it open a very short amount of time, you're going to have a lot crisper, clear detail where you can zoom in and see all that individual granules like I showed earlier. Now, the next thing I'm going to go over is actually a standard mapping using drones. This is something that you can do with your drone, but if you don't have the right software and you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get some serious blur and errors based upon many different factors. And this is an example of what you can actually do if you have a great drone with a mechanical shutter, has the right overlap and things like that. You can generate some very high resolution maps. So this entire thing was about 3,000 photos all stitched together. So you can show extremely high clarity when you do zoom in. Now, the next thing we're going to go over is actually not the mapping, but 3D modeling. Very similar, but this one actually has 3D space, right? And as you zoom in, you can get more and more clarity and the more it loads. And imagine bringing this to a shareholder meeting and trying to win a bid compared to someone who's just taking pictures off their iPhone. You can go in there and you can show those stakeholders exactly what you are going to do and have them be able to walk through and actually show them with extreme level of detail. If you don't think you're going to win that bid just based upon this alone, you're probably out of your mind, right? So this is a way to clearly step yourself ahead of the competition just by being able to have a walkthrough of that roof to win those commercial projects. Now, another great example as well is over here. This is in Hot Springs, Arkansas. This is the Arlington Hotel. And as you can see, there's a ton of moisture sitting on this, but the more it loads, you can see just some extreme level of detail. And to give context, the large school was around 3,200 photos. Just this one section of roof, we went ahead and captured about 4,000 images. So very dense, but we had extremely high depth, and a very high level of clarity because of all the additional photos that we took. So it's all based upon what you want to do. But yes, you can absolutely create some incredible, incredible details if you get enough photos, you have enough overlap, and most importantly, you have the right software to know what you're doing. So this is some great examples of what you can do. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is actually going to be something extremely highly requested, and this is thermal imaging. Oh my gosh. This is something we get quite asked about all the time, and it is very, very powerful when it comes to that moisture detection. And the first thing I'm going to show you is this. This is some raw imagery from that school, right? I love this photo. This is a long exposure, so you can see the very longly exposed lights out here. I think it's just an absolutely gorgeous photo. But the most important thing is the thermal side, right? So not a very good one right there. But if you go down here to the bottom, you can see some very actionable information. So this is the HVAC units up top, and you can clearly see all of the moisture, or more specifically, heat that's being changed due to the weather conditions at a different rate of speed. And that is the most important thing you're looking for. So you're able to identify what portions of the roof is heating and or cooling at different rates, which goes to show that there is something that is slowing or speeding up that process. Most likely it's going to be either poor insulation, or it could actually be moisture inside of that roof. So this is a very valuable thing, and you can clearly see that there is some variance in temperatures on this. And this is the RGB side. So you can see that it's not visible from the normal photos, but when you switch it over to thermal, you can very clearly see it. A lot of it here as well. You can see all the patching and things of this capacity. Very valuable. Same thing here. Same thing here. I think it's my favorite pit photo right here. Absolutely. So you can see all the moisture spots all up and down that. Yeah, phenomenal. So very great. Thermal should be used a lot more than it currently is. However, we're only here to support it. Ultimately, you guys have to go out there and actually push this into your own company and into your workflow. All right. This right here is the Arlington Hotel. I showed you guys the 3D model earlier. We also the thermal mapping, and you can see right here, very similar, and you can see all the emissivity issues and all of the water spots, and you can see it on the RGB as well. But you don't always have the very clear moisture issues, but like you can at least with this one. All right. Another one, go over here to the high school. This is the high school as well. Same one we showed earlier. As you can see, we can have all of the individual emissivity broken down into a single thermal map. And just to give context, this was around 4,000 photos we stitched together using infrared. Very, very, very high density, but you can't argue with this model, especially the full resolution. You can see all those individual details, and very, very, very impressive. So yeah, absolutely, guys. And if you're not using thermal imaging, I think you're missing out on some huge opportunities across this whole thing. But there we go. So thermal definitely should be used all the time. Huge supporter of it, and absolutely we can do it. Now, the next thing that's requested a whole lot is actually when it comes to measurements, right? Measurements are something that is asked about all the time. What can I use as a replacement for these other ones? Well, I'm not going to say it's cheaper, but I will say this is highly more accurate. Why is that? Because you actually, before you generate measurements, you actually build a 3D model of that location, and then the measurements are built from that 3D model. Now, compare that to 3 months, 6 months, a year old imagery taken from an airplane at 10,000 feet. You can get a good assumption which one's going to be a lot more accurate. And sure you guys have seen that some of these reports that are generated off of these measurement softwares are not as accurate as what your tape measure is showing. That's because the imagery is just not able to get to that level of detail, not nearly as much as you can get from a drone that's flying only 100 feet above that house. So that's what you do here. You can get a whole lot more detail. And this is a good example of what that looks like. And yes, you can do commercial as well. So on this commercial property, same exact thing, generate a 3D model. And from that 3D model, we're able to generate all of these individual perimeter slopes and pitches and the surface area for each one of those. You really don't get much more accurate than what you see here. So if you want to do measurements, absolutely. Drones are a great way to do it. You're going to get the most recent information. You're going to get extremely accurate information. May not be as cheap, but if you need precision in your reporting and want to make sure those measurements are correct, drones are absolutely the way to go. So the next thing we're going to go over is actually solar. There is so much opportunity when it comes to drones in the solar side. All right. Solar is amazing. And what you can do is you can actually generate a full 3D model. And from that 3D model, you can generate a solar access shade report, which will tell you what the potential for solar is on different parts of the roof. And this is using the customer's actual model that we're generating for them, and it's their house with their photos. So this is raw data to give them information of what the efficiency was going to be for that. And this is a summary, and I say summary very lightly because this will actually generate about a 70-page report that goes over all the intricate details for each one of those slopes at different times of the year. However, as you can see, this is already a ton of information and really gives that homeowner confidence that what you're saying is backed by actual data and not just something that they're being sold to, right? So it goes over the monthly solar access and essentially gives all the information that they need to make an educated decision on what they're going to be expecting as far as returns. Now, other things that you can do, this is a 3D model that you can also generate using solar as well. So I'll play this a little bit just to give you an idea. All right, as you can see, it will just go around. Let's speed up a little bit. This right here, this is the south side of the actual roof. You're going to have a lot more usability. So the south and the west side relative to the north and the east side. So this is something you can also use. You can imagine the amount of the presentation here and the higher close rates you're going to get if you can actually back your sales with data it cannot be understated, cannot be overstated. Now, also what you can do is given your drone photos, you can actually go through there and generate entire plan sets from from those drone photos. So you can go all the way from the sales, all the way into the engineering and the plan set generation. So this is an example just to go through some of the things that we can generate as well. It is phenomenal what you can do. It's really, really cool. I'm not a solar guy. I have a guy, Chris with CG Drones is my guy that I use for all of our solar stuff. He has 10 years of experience in the solar industry, and he can make sure that this is done correctly. If you're also a roofing company and you actually do want to start learning how to do solar, we do consultations, and Chris can actually work with your team to help you build out your own solar program. And we'd be using things like this in order to propel you ahead of your competition. So yeah, guys. So the big things here, having a higher drone, you can absolutely see more granular detail. You can also use artificial intelligence to identify those hail strikes. Yes, you can generate those high resolution maps and orthomosaics, get that really, really, really crisp detail. So you can show before, during, and after photos to those stakeholders, right? You can also generate 3D models. You can do thermal mapping. You can also do measurements. And of course, there's also a ton of potential with solar. So that is the video. I just wanted to make it very clear. If you are not doing these things, you are selling yourself short. And if you want to start doing these things, you really need to give us a call or fill out the forms in the comment below, and we can get you started and really get you from wherever you are now to wherever you want to be. Have a good one, guys.